Hello and welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm your host, Cesar Hernandez, and tonight we're here to talk about the Xolos documentary, Blue Frontera. We're here actually with the director of the film, Chris Cashman, and later on we're going to be talking a little bit about the Club World Cup. But before we get into that,
let's start with that.
No, Johnny, don't worry. Johnny, we'll save that for later. Before we get into it, let me introduce tonight's guest. Johnny, you already started talking, so I'm just going to introduce you first. Johnny Rico, who's, as I mentioned, he's usually about, I think he's 2 or 3 miles east of, actually, now that I think about it, we're kind of this is San Diego-centric podcast tonight, with what we got going on. I didn't realize that until now, but Johnny, how are you doing? Are you excited for tonight? I know you probably want to talk about Club Frontera. I'm sure you don't care anything about Club America, the Club World Cup. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Now that you mention it, we could have all sat in one room and did this.
We probably could have done that, actually. Yeah. And then we also have, very special guest. Really happy to have him here tonight. I met him just a couple of weeks ago, or it might have been last week at the screening for Blue Frontera over here in North Park. The director of the film, Chris Cashman. How are you doing, man? Nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. This is awesome. I'm always loving to talk about Club Frontera, and I'm just open to whatever you guys want to talk about. This is great. Thanks for having me.
All right, so perfect. So let's just go straight into it. So Chris, if you could just introduce yourself, what you do, and for those who don't know, maybe it's a little bit more difficult for those outside of the Southern California, maybe California in general area. Just tell us what Blue Frontera is.
Okay. Well, I'm Chris Cashman, local independent film producer and director. I directed the full feature film Frontera. It's a 93-minute documentary about the Cholos and how they became what they are today. The whole creation of the team from the start to now. And we've been working on it for now. I was hired 4 years ago this week. And we probably filmed for about 2.5, 3 years, went into obviously a post-production process. And then we released it this year. In March, we released it at the San Diego Latino Film Festival. And then since then, we've showed it at 9 film festivals across the globe. And then most recently, we did a couple local screenings here in San Diego as well as in Tijuana.
You just mentioned it, but how long was the filming process again? You said it took you about 2.5 to 3 years. Does that also take into consideration the post-production stuff that you just mentioned?
Yeah, it's one of those things, and we were talking about this earlier, how, soccer's always evolving. So, I would do an interview with one of the coaches. Be like, okay, that's great. It's a great way to end the film. And then that guy would get fired. And then 6 months would go by, and we're still working on post-production. And then, we got another interview with another coach, and that guy gets fired. I think one guy, he was just there like maybe a little while. I didn't even get a chance to talk to him. He was gone.
For those who are not up to date, that's Mexican soccer in a nutshell.
It was just wild. It was like, to compare it to what I'm used to. I'm not necessarily a documentary filmmaker. This is the first documentary I've ever made. Most of the films I've produced 7 feature films, and this is the first one I've ever done that's not using actors. So it's almost like a bad actress that you just have to fire. Like, another coach gone, or another player. We have some great interviews with some post championship Cholos. So between 2013 and 2015, we got some great interviews, but these guys are no longer on the team. So it was kind of difficult to keep them in the film when they're like, "Oh, I love Tijuana. I love Cholos." It's like, dude, you're gone. You can't keep you in there.
You once told me that you have over 200 hours of footage, don't you?
Yeah. Between the footage that we ended up obviously recording ourselves, as well as the footage that the Cholos gave us, because you got to think we started January 2013. So from that point, until present day, that was our footage, and then everything else was stuff that was collected from the team. So, yeah, it was quite a bit of footage to go through.
So before we started the show, I told you all right, I have these 7 or 8 questions set up for you, and you told me, it's like, hey, you know what? It's fine. ask me anything. It's fine. Like I've done improv, blah blah. Like just go ahead and ask me anything. So I'm gonna take advantage of this now, and I'm gonna say like so. You just talk about the league. You've been working with like the different league Mikey's coaches for Cholos. Like, which one was your favorite? Like, which Cholos coach did you like the most?
You know, I think like Miguel is really cool. Like, I mean, he was a very professional. Like, you could tell that this guy's done some interviews. He was very nice. Like, it was great. But we got him like probably like 3 weeks into the job, you know. So he kind of, you know, he knew what we were looking for, which was great. But quite honestly, I think the best like interview I got was from Turco. Like, we went to Turco's house in Mexico City while he was coaching for America, and yeah, he was awesome. He was a really cool guy. I got to tell you guys, when we got to his house and he wasn't there. He was still at like practice. So he comes in with his entourage of all his like assistant coaches, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm like looking at these guys. I'm all, oh, yeah, that dude's in the movie. That guy's in the movie. I don't know any of these guys' names, but they're like all over the film. And I'm like, oh yeah, must, you know, like it's just his group of guys. And Turco goes, hold on a second, I got to go put something on Cholos. And he like leaves the room. I'm like, oh god. He comes back down. He's wearing a red vest. And I'm like, well, that's cool. I mean, it's like now he's like, you know, working for a rival team. It was really cool to kind of see like, and he genuinely loved his time in Tijuana. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I think he would still be there if under, you know, the circumstances that kind of happened. But I think from what he told me at the end of the interview, he definitely sees there'll be a second part. He will return to Tijuana. That's what he foresees in the future.
Yeah. You said before, when we were chatting a little beforehand, you know, that you played soccer a little bit when you were younger, that, you know, you kind of got into it like when you were a kid, you know, it was just kind of like, it was something that was becoming popular in the San Diego area, you said in the 80s. But, you know, what inspired you to make this documentary? You know, I got to say, I watched it last week and I loved it. And it's just, this is something I would have expected from someone who is almost, you know, like a hardcore Tijuana fan or a hardcore kind of like Liga MX fan. But what inspired the decision to do this, to make this movie, to create this film?
Well, I was hired by a local immigration attorney, a gentleman named Murray Hiltz. He's actually one of the most successful immigration attorneys in San Diego. So if you need any help out there, anyone that's watching, like, go to Murray Hiltz, attorney.
Good little plug-in right there.
Yeah, there's your plug, Murray. No, he didn't ask me anything. It's a total joke. I guess he's a fan. He was a fan of the Cholos for a while, and ultimately, what happened was he saw the championship, and at the same time that was happening, I was actually raising financing for another film, and I met with him, and he was going to be one of our investors, and he kind of pulled me to the side and says, "Hey, you know, I love your film idea, but I got something else for it. I want you to make a movie about the Cholos." And to be quite honestly, I right away I thought, like, gangsters, and and why me? Like, is it a comedy? Like, are we gonna make Cholo gangsters? Like, you know, I'm like,
what's up, homie? Where you from, Missy?
Yeah. That's literally, I knew nothing about Cholos, like nothing. Yeah. Like I lived in Chula Vista for 5 years. I used to do the commute on the 5 South, and I'd be sitting in traffic, and I'd see the circle, like on, you know, you see the sticker on all the cars, you know, Club Tijuana, Cholos Squinkles. I'd look at it, I'm like, oh, that must be the new nightclub. Like, I thought club is in like discotheque, like a nightclub. And I was like, okay, you know, that's great. And when I talked to my wife, she's like, don't you remember, like, you know, like those stickers? I was like, oh, like Senior Frogs? Like, what do you know, no, it's a soccer team. I'm like, oh, okay, like, that's great, you know. And I think what it took was when I did a little bit of research, after Murray asked me to, you know, take on the project, I was like, well, let me look into it. I Wikipedia'd it. I did a bunch of Google searches, and right away I could see the potential. I could see the script right away. It was like, oh yeah, this is awesome, you know. And then I think I was more intrigued to do it because the fact that all this is going on only 5 miles south of the border, I'm like, how do I not know about? Like, this is huge. Yeah. Like what they accomplished. But obviously, I don't follow Mexican soccer. I don't read the local newspaper. So there are all these things that it just was kind of going on. and I was completely unaware of it. Which I think, in hindsight, I think it was actually a blessing. I think it was really cool because I went in there and I probably picked up things that people are just so used to seeing or doing, whereas being a complete outsider and just kind of taking it all in, I really feel like I was able to absorb like the feeling of going to a Cholo game and every little detail. And that's the one thing when we show the film, and we showed it in Berlin, we showed it in Copenhagen, and both times people were like, I can't wait to go to Tijuana and check out a game. And that's, like, and then I feel like, hey, I did my job. Like, I took people to Tijuana. We're on the other side of the world watching this thing. It was, that was kind of my plan.
So I mean, you just said it right now. Like, what were some of those initial reactions when you caught, Liga MX soccer live, like right in front of you? You said that maybe you saw some things other people didn't really see, that other people, like perhaps me, like a longtime fan, like I would have already become accustomed to. It was just nothing atypical or out of the ordinary. Like, what were some of those things that you caught, or maybe perhaps some of those initial reactions to those first Xolos games?
So I think the very first thing I noticed was the attention. Like how soccer is so fast, like if you turn your head, you could miss a goal or a really important play. Whereas baseball or football, it's just so dragged out and it takes forever. Yeah, you can go, go get a hot dog or something and come back and it's the same thing going on. It's so quick. And I noticed one of the first games I went to, I looked into the stands and I'm looking across 500 people. And I'm not seeing one person stand. Every person is watching the game. And I'm like, wow, like that's awesome. You don't see that. Like most of the time you go to, any sport in America, people are half the time on their phones or whatever. Like it's more of a social.
What did you make of like your first impression of La Masacre, the supporter group? Because I know in the US there's nothing like it, in basketball, in football, and baseball. What was that first reaction?
I was scared. No. Well, honestly, there's some tough-looking guys there, and obviously they're very like a close-knit group. And when I first started, Johnny, I've been going down there since 2013. It's like there weren't many gringos going down. So it's, now you look around, someone pointed out, I was actually hanging out with Gringo Cholo like a couple games ago.
Yeah, Marty.
And,
it's a good
guy. Marty. And he's like, look, look how many more gringos are coming. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. A lot more. I think people are getting more, the word is getting out about Cholos. So obviously a lot more, San Diegans are cruising down to experience the Cholo experience. But when I first went down there, I got a lot of looks like, what are you doing down here, gringo? Like, why do you care? Like, why, or, what are you filming? But yeah, it was cool. I think the Massacre, I think the big thing is, they're a real tight-knit group. Something like you said, Johnny, it's nothing, I've never seen anything like that. There's no Padres squad or Chargers squad they don't have anything like that. I think I was most impressed by the family situation. So it's like when you see them, it's not just the game. You go to the game watches, and they're just they bleed Cholos. It's so great to see. They it's a really really nice family oriented group. The guys are all about getting together, doing things. You can just see it in the pride of the shirts they make and the banners and all that. It's awesome. And I think the more and more they saw what we were doing, the more they accepted us.
So for those who haven't seen, I'm guessing more than likely if you're going to see the documentary, you're probably, and if you're watching this right now, you're probably a Liga MX fan. So here's a little bit of a spoiler, which you probably already know, that Tijuana ends up winning the title. So it's not that surprising. If you're watching this show and we're talking about it, you probably already know that. But obviously that was for most people, that was probably the highlight of the film, probably one of the more exciting parts of the documentary. But for you, what else really stood out to you? It doesn't even have to be something that was in the film. What did you enjoy the most about the filmmaking process, or maybe a certain part of the movie that really stood out to you and just was really important to you?
I think the concept of crossing into another country every day to go, film, do interviews and get B-roll at the games. And it's such an instant, like, cultural kind of travel. Like, without jumping on a plane, you get this, like, you feel like you're on the other side of the world. And at the same time, at the end of the night, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get to sleep in my own bed at home in San Diego. But it's like, as soon as you cross that border, it's, I look forward to it. Just everything about it, it's so full of life.
No, I'm sure
people are so welcome.
I'm sure you've heard a lot of stereotypes before your first trip to Tijuana about Tijuana, and sometimes a lot of them can be wrong. But did you find any stereotypes to be true? Like maybe one to be true?
Well, Johnny, I think I'm a little different because I grew up here, and I also I've embraced the culture since I was a kid. So it's like my family, we would just go down to Tijuana all the time, whether just to go, grab some tacos. We had family from out of town. It was just something we kind of did. So it was never really frowned upon. Even in high school, I had friends. I went to one of the local, I went to St. Augustine High School in North Park. There are a lot of kids that are the border kids. So I had friends that obviously lived in Tijuana. They went to school every day at Saints. And they'd have birthday parties. There was never like my parents like, no, you can't go down there. Like, yeah, I'm going to this 15-year-old's birthday party at some discotheque, like just what you do.
Okay, that's actually
so I go ahead.
You were infused in the Tijuana culture more than maybe some other Americans.
Most definitely. I mean, I gotta tell you. I mean, I met my wife for the very first time, country club. I didn't end up dating her for like 10 years later, but I mean, I've been around. I saw the different sides of Mexico, and then quite honestly, even when I was in college, I never went to like Revolucion. I would go to like I mentioned, Senor Frogs or Sótano Suizo. It was like I would be the only gringo in these places, and people would try to speak. It's like, no, I'm not saying. I'm just gringo here.
Well, Chris, I mean,
I embrace it.
I really, really enjoy the film, and like as I think I told you just when I chatted with you last week, that just like I moved to San Diego in January, mostly just for covering Tijuana and Xolos, and I mean there was so much I could read about them. There's so much I learned from just like reading articles online, but what you portrayed was just fantastic. It was just a visual history a little bit for those people who have been wanting to learn about the club, and I thought that was fantastic. And I'm wondering, is there any chance at all of you being able to do this for another Liga MX club? Or is this maybe something you've thought about? Is this something you'd be willing to do if someone would say like, hey, you know what, Chris, we love what you did for Tijuana. Do this for Pachuca. Do this for just any other Liga MX club. Maybe someone like a Monterrey or Ciudad Juarez. Like, there's
a club out there who's 100 years old who's on the verge of committing something very great at the World Cup. Could use its own movie.
Sean, we'll get to Club America later.
They could use their own movie. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Chris. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it would be difficult because I'm not from that region. I honestly feel like even though I never lived in Tijuana, but I understood it. I understand all the different sides of the city. Just growing up here in San Diego, it was part of my life. It might be a little more difficult because going to another part of Mexico, I may not, it may not be as easy. But I'd be open to it, But I think if anything, I think I'm doing another sports documentary. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that sport would be, whether in Mexico or in the States or wherever. The concept of trying to find that niche. It is about the people. I mean, the sport is great, but I'm more about telling the story of why do you play soccer? What do you like about Tijuana? It's the goals and all that stuff is great, but that got them to succeed and get their championship. But I didn't want to just show you something you've already seen. Yeah. I want to get to the root of it. Why are you here? What is this doing for everybody? And I also wanted the film to be not just like a sports film. I wanted to be open to anybody. So, anyone can kind of watch it and be like, hey, I dig it. I'm not really a soccer fan, but I can watch this movie because I'm intrigued by the culture. I'm intrigued by the city and what it has to offer. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm open for anything, but I think definitely I would do another sports documentary.
yeah, like the story of the muralist. I think that was one of the greatest points in the movie. I think his background, his struggle. I think that's completely off the soccer field. I really commend you and your team for kind of finding those little niche stories to tell in a movie like this, because that's something if it wasn't for your movie, you would never get to hear about.
No, thanks. I mean, and that's the thing. It's interesting because we showed the film on Sunday at the Art House Theater in Revolution, Cine Tonala, and it was interesting because there was a girl, I could tell she was kind of artsy girl, and she was like, I'm not really into sports. Like, I don't, like I could tell, like she was just like, she just thought it was like a sports movie. I'm like, no, you got to check it out. And then when she saw that Mode, the artist, she's like, well, wait, is he in the film? Because he was there. And I'm like, yeah, like he's a main part. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
So I just watched the film. I'm like, you'll dig it. I think if anyone's you want to, I mean, whether you follow the team or not, I think you'll appreciate it.
Yeah. So we've been talking about the film for about 22 minutes now. So for those who are interested in it, those who are now intrigued by it, like where could we go watch it? And also, a little bit of a follow-up question. I know you talked about this last time, but is there any likelihood that we could potentially see it something on like a Netflix or Hulu or something online where people could easily catch it at home?
Right. Well, kind of the process, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's tough to try to explain to people like, what the process is, especially for like independent films. So for instance, like what you do is you because we're not a studio. It's not like we have like, we can tons of money and we can market and we can put it on billboards or whatever. You kind of do film festivals, you get exposure, you get some accreditation, what have you. And then from there, you can basically take your film and present it to things such as Netflix or iTunes or Amazon. So right now, as we speak, it's in consideration for Netflix US as well as Mexico. Now, I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know how long the in consideration process is, but I hope we will have it available online somewhere in one of the VOD formats by early, like 2017. So January, February, that's what we're hoping for.
Nice, dude. Please keep us updated. That'd be awesome. That'd be incredible. So, like, that'd be fantastic.
Besides Netflix, is there any plans for more theaters? So anyone, let's say, not from the San Diego, Tijuana region, like anyone else around the U.S.?
Yeah, possibly. I know I'm being flown back to Philadelphia sometime in March. I think it's the end of March. I'll be in Philadelphia to show it at Villanova University. That's where I went to school. And while I'm there, I am going to try to maybe travel out to either New York or up into Boston and see if we can do like, a screening on the East Coast. Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. I think we might maybe submit to a couple other festivals and things that pop up. But for the most part, I think at this point, it'll probably just live online or be available maybe at a Cholos store or something. So we'll be able to buy, a DVD copy at one of the Cholos stores or something like that.
I know, I mean, maybe we already touched upon this, but like, and I know someone brought it up on that screening that I went to, but what could I do? What could John do? What could any of the fans who are going to listen to this podcast later or are listening to it right now, what could they do to support this movie? What could we do to give it more attention to help you reach that next level?
Awesome. I think the biggest thing is, obviously social media. It's such a powerful device. Anyone follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And I don't know if this works. I know I mentioned this at the screening, but I think if you go to your Netflix and search Frontera, I think if enough people do that, then that may kind of, maybe open the door for us because they're like, there's interest. So yeah, that could definitely help us. But yeah, definitely following us on Facebook and Twitter would be great.
All right. Chris, before we let you go, I mean, you got to tell us. I didn't find out about this until a couple minutes before we started the podcast. This is something you should have brought up to me like a long time ago. But you mentioned that you were once a stand-in or a stuntman for Will Ferrell, and John said like maybe you should bring that up. As you're introducing him, just like I'm just gonna leave it at that. tell us what that's all about, man. Just like that's just something that like completely caught me off guard. If you want me to be honest, like so you were stand-in or a stuntman for him once.
Yeah, I'm not a stuntman, and basically it's one of those things that I just kind of fell into it. I had a friend that was working on Kicking and Screaming, that soccer film that came out about 10 years ago. And he said, you know what, they're looking for a guy to be his photo double. Because at the time, Will Ferrell's wife was pregnant, and in his contract it said he could leave at any time. And in Hollywood, there's no way they're ever going to just shut the production down. Things have to keep on going. So they searched for a guy that looked like him. And I got the gig. And so I got to work on a soccer field for 3 months. I wrote my first feature film script while I was just sitting there on the soccer field watching these kids that were, doing this whole scene. And while I was there, they used me a couple times. I know the scenes in the film. I'm out there. It's like a wide shot, and I'm like coaching some kids. I'm just like telling them to run. I'm like, hey, go over there, yeah, whatever. But you can't tell. I mean, I know it's myself. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the day he left. His wife had an ultrasound or something. I don't know. Yeah, put on your wig and go out there. Be Will Ferrell. And then they hired me to be his stunt man. I got to do a stunt with Robert Duvall, who played his father in the film. And it's the tetherball scene. So I got hit in the face, in the balls, in the back, and I was like, great. And when I saw the paycheck, I was like, even better. Let's do this again.
Yeah, Will, what's your next movie, man?
So after that, I ended up doing a stunt for some kind of like these like outtakes things that they did for Anchorman. I got to do a fight scene with Burt Reynolds, and then what do you call it? The last thing I did was Stranger Than Fiction. I got to go through a plate of glass. It's when he gets hit by a bus. So I just smashed my.
I remember.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about, actually.
Yeah, so it's like they had this watch, and I was just going through a plate of glass, and I went through like 4 plates of glass, and great. That's it. That's my stunt career. Like I said, I'm not a stuntman, but it was a cool experience. Will's a really cool guy. He's in the film. He's in Club Frontera. So we have
that's right.
Footage from ESPN with him and Kevin Hart. So.
It's kind of funny. Someone on YouTube just literally said, let's see, he said, can I have your autograph? It's one of my favorite movies. I'm sure they're probably talking about Kicking and Screaming around that point. So.
It was honestly, it was a fun set to be on because it was just those kids were great. And I don't know if you guys remember, but those 2 little Italian kids, those kids were so good. And they were from Italy. Like they ripped. It was like awesome. They're doing all these tricks. They're showing everyone how to do these. It was really good. And I looked them up recently. I was expecting to see them like playing professionally somewhere in Europe, but I don't think either of them went that far. Yeah, it was a great set to work on, and especially Will Ferrell. He's genuinely like a really good person, really nice guy, and hopefully, like our paths will cross again in the future. I'll be able to collaborate.
Now I know we just went over like possible future projects for you, but maybe there could be a sequel to Club Frontera.
Possibly, yeah. No, I think it's. I mean, the team is always growing. There's so many elements, as you guys know. I mean, you guys follow it, and of course there could be a sequel. I think I need to give it some time, though. I think
makes sense.
Let us sit on it, and then you'll start seeing me again next year, and it'll be another 4 years. You're like, is this ever coming out?
I'm sure it'd be a good time to have the cameras rolling pretty soon because next month is Xolos' 10-year anniversary.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, it's such a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I feel lucky that I'm here and I get to watch it all happen in front of me. But for other people who are not as lucky, I mean, this is a good movie to check out. Such a Cholos is like no other team, just came out of nowhere, get promoted, win the championship, play international tournaments. It's, I think you really grabbed the essence of, what a special team it really is.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree, and I think that, just like, as I mentioned, I think you did a fantastic job of not only just encompassing just like, that whole history of the team, but also just like, when they won that title, and just like the footage that you provided, I thought it was fantastic. I enjoyed it immensely. I guess I should start an IMDb account right now and just like give it a review. Actually, anybody out there, give it a give it a review, or just go out and try to find it, Google it, Facebook it, go on Twitter. Please go do that. Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, well, Chris, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for, I mean, obviously, like, talk about the film. Like, please, like, keep in contact. I'm sure I'll talk to you at some point. Anything regarding Liga MX or anything regarding Cholos. If you're ever at the games too, Johnny and I are always there too, so you're more than welcome to hang out with us, or maybe we're more than welcome to hang out with you. You probably have some private like suite somewhere that I'm not allowed to go to after that.
You guys are gonna sneak me in. They're gonna be like, this guy's like, he's 4 years. It's like, he's done. So I'm gonna have to sneak in with you guys. Yeah. Some sort of press assistant or something.
You know what? You'll tag along with me as a photographer.
I love it. Yeah, I got a camera.
All right. Well, Chris, thanks so much. And yeah, no, hopefully we'll be chatting with you very soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, Johnny.
Whoa.
I know this is what you've been waiting for. I know this is the only reason why you probably agreed to chat today on the Mexican Soccer Show. You just want to talk about the Club World Cup. You want to talk about America. My guess is that you're probably going to say, you know what, Real Madrid, decent opponent for America. They're all right. Maybe not what we deserve on our 100-year anniversary.
I was going to say, Real Madrid are lucky enough to play America in their 100-year anniversary.
Johnny, come on. Are you really saying that right now? They're lucky. Yes. Lucky. They're just lucky to be playing against...
They should feel honored that on America's 100th-year anniversary, they get to face them. No other team around the world can have that honor. Not a Barcelona, not a Manchester United, Real Madrid.
We'll get some. I'm sure we'll find some quotes from the players and whatnot tomorrow. I'm sure what you'll see is just a consensus from all the Real Madrid players. Be like, oh, you know what? This is a privilege. To be playing up against Club America, playing up against one of the greats of all time.
There's an article on Diario As, the Spanish newspaper.
I think I know where you're going with this. I think I saw
everything you need to know about Club America, the Madrid of Mexico. So
the Real Madrid of Mexico.
Yeah, that's how the Spaniards look at Club America. Oh.
Johnny, I actually, maybe not all the Spaniards, maybe some of the Spaniards who even know who they are. Johnny, I want to go into like the analysis of like what you thought would be play for play, but you know what? Actually, I just want to get straight into it, man. Like, I want to know what your prediction is. I want to know just because like it's quite obvious that you are a big America fan. You love Las Águilas. Like, I want to know what's going to happen on Thursday morning at about 2:30 in the morning, because it's going to, for those on the West Coast, I think my current game plan is I'm going to go to sleep early tomorrow night, and then I'm going to wake up at around like 2ish. But Johnny, what
isn't it at 5:30?
No, Johnny, it's 2:30 Pacific time. 2:30 Pacific time. I'm pretty sure. 5:30.
5:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm definitely watching it. So prediction for Thursday, 2:30. I predict the score will be 0-0 around kickoff time. Yeah. Now ask me. Now if you ask me what my prediction for 4:30, 2 hours later, that might be different. That might be a little different.
It's just like it's you have to. I mean, I know. What was I was talking the other day about what was it like Marchestin going to America, and the way you kind of like the way you talked about it, was just like, Marchestin, he's a decent goalkeeper.
No. I said I gave Marchestin his due credit. I said he is the best goalkeeper in Liga MX.
And then what did you?
He's not the best suited to play for America, but he's still the best goalkeeper in Liga MX.
And then what did you say after that about his role with Club America?
That, I wish he just rots in the bench, because he doesn't want to be at America. I don't want him to be at America. It's what you got to do.
Anyway, that's
talent-wise, he's the best goalkeeper in Mexico. What can I say?
Okay. But that's a different conversation altogether. But John, the people want to know, what is your prediction? You the Americanista, like what is your prediction for Thursday morning's game?
America wins 1-0.
1-0. You're gonna say America wins 1-0.
Yes, La Volpe shuts down Madrid, scrapes
I mean,
goals by.
Actually, I saw something by Faitelson recently. I know we all have our own thoughts on Faitelson, but I thought he brought up a good point, saying that it's unlikely that America is going to win, and that the purpose of this game should be is just to don't sit back, don't try to go through with a 1-0, which is not going to happen, Johnny. That's not going to happen. What you should do is just try to show off what America is. If you lose 3-0, who cares? If you have a good time, let America have a good time. They should push forward in the attack. Just really go forth and just really try to.
I've always hated Faitelson for that reason. This isn't a party. This is a competition that you're trying to win. And when you're facing a team that's obviously a lot stronger than you, you don't go do that. Now, your best chances of winning is doing the exact opposite than listening to that clown.
It's not gonna. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to make a bet with you. Like we'll figure this out later. But just America is not going to beat Real Madrid. That's just.
How about?
It's not gonna happen. It's just.
How about beard versus chin strap?
Beard versus. Oh no.
The beard versus the chin strap.
How long do I have to keep the chin strap for?
No. Like if America wins, you shave off the beard. If Real Madrid wins, I shave off the chin strap.
Yeah, it's a little bit innocuous, and why not? Let's do that. We'll say it on there. It's on YouTube.
You're all gonna get to see babyface Cesar.
I look like I'm 12 years old, actually. All right, so that'll be no. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but I just like the fact that we're gonna make some sort of bet here. So yeah, so if America goes through, I'll shave my beard for the first time since it must have been since college. I mean, since then I've been trying to look as if I'm older than I actually am. And if Real Madrid goes through, then you have to shave the
shave the chin strap.
That tiny bit, whatever. I'll do. Yeah, I'll just.
Well, of course you have a lot more to lose because you have a lot more possibility of winning. I can admit that.
Okay, that's true. That's entirely true. That's a good point. All right. So another thing, even if America loses, which we're just going to say it's just a highly likely scenario. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I
appreciate if. I appreciate you using if.
I have to say if. The game has not happened yet. America will still take part in a third place game, which won't take part. I'm going to say take part like 15 times, which will happen on the same day of the final. And that will either be up against Atlético Nacional, or that will either be up against, I forget the name of the other team. It's the Kashima Antlers. So the third place match would take place on the same day as the final. So either way, whether they win or lose, America will still have one more match. I mean, I think it's just really quickly. I think all you really need there's so much you could say about Real Madrid. There's so much you can say about the power and talent that the team has. But I think the most overt, kind of the most obvious kind of factor to take into consideration here is that this is a team that is not, if I remember correctly, that has not lost a single match since April. This year. Real Madrid.
So basically on that end, I think if you combine both teams, they're getting close to between 45 and 50 games without losing. They both bring impressive undefeated streaks to this game.
Yeah, but America lost right before La Volpe came in, though. That was just a few months ago.
Yeah, but La Volpe has 15 games under his belt, undefeated. Real Madrid have 35. That's still impressive. That's still in a league as inconsistent as Liga MX to go 15 games undefeated. Wouldn't you say that's impressive?
I would say it's impressive, but I feel like it's unfair to compare it to what Real Madrid has done. That's just those are just my thoughts.
Well, I mean, of course, America are out here facing smaller teams like Chivas, but that's not their fault.
Oh, you just had to get that one in, didn't you?
Yeah, it's not their fault they compete.
You just had to get that one in before the end of the show. All right. All right, so really quick. Okay, so John, just before we wrap up the show, thanks to Chris Cashman earlier today. Thanks to I really enjoyed that interview we had with him. I just want to hear just once again your prediction for Club America versus Real Madrid. What is going to be the final score, Johnny?
Club America 1, Real Madrid 0.
Oof. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Real Madrid. I think after getting that second goal, not going to be that really motivated to get another one, especially when they have a busy schedule as well. But we'll see. Maybe that could be. It's soccer.
They might not be motivated to put out a strong lineup. Who knows? That's in the realm of possibility.
Even that backup roster. All right. Yeah, so let's see what happens on the Thursday morning. I guess it doesn't matter where, unless if you're somewhere in Europe or if you're somewhere in Asia or somewhere across the world. Like this game is between either at 2:30 a.m. Pacific time or more than likely like 5:30 a.m. Eastern time. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna try to take a nap at some point tomorrow so I can prepare for it. So I'm really looking forward to it. But once again, thank you to Chris Cashman, who I had a great time talking to him. I met with him for the first time last week after seeing Frontera, and if you haven't seen it yet, please go find it. Even if you aren't a Liga MX fan, even if you aren't a Cholos fan, just please go out there, look for it, find it on, just get any info about it. I highly recommend it. And once again, thank you, Johnny, too, for taking part in the chat too, and give me your thoughts on Club America, not Club Frontera, even though they might be a little biased, but it is what it is. Johnny, any last thoughts before we head up?
No, I mean this is Thursday's game. I think this is the moment that we've kind of been waiting for all season, the big centennial moment. So it's kind of our time to shine. Yeah,
well, let's see what happens. It would be the perfect ending for America. This is the option. Like if in their 100th anniversary, they're able to get past those losses to Chivas earlier today. There we go. I had to bring up Chivas there for a second, but they end up beating Chivas in the quarterfinals. But if they're able to somehow, in some weird way, sneak past Real Madrid, and if they're able to get the Liga MX title, I mean, that's the perfect ending. Perfect, wonderful, beautiful,
And you know what? That's America struggling. That's America struggling and getting criticized all season long. Just to put it in perspective, because when America has a good year, the rest of the league has no chance.
All right, so we'll see what happens, guys. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Chris. And more than likely, we might see you next Monday. We'll see if we take a break. I know it's a little bit hard to really predict that because of the month and the holiday season. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for following. Thank you all to everyone in the YouTube chat. And I guess we'll see you guys later. All right, have a good night.